Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. As you can see for this video, I am recapping the latest episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. The show has come back for the second half of season 6. So it's season 6, episode 16. And there are a few things that we need to get into. So before we do that, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video. It will cause YouTube to introduce my channel to more people who have never heard of Show Style and Spirit, but they also enjoy to watch Love and Marriage Huntsville. And also, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. I offer a variety of content, not just TV show recaps, but of course things that inspire me from women like Melody Cherie. But I also talk about celebrity tea and celebrity gossip. And to everyone checking out the replay, hello, and thank you so much for checking out the replay, and please hit the like button. And what's up to people who have joined me? Thank you so much for being here. What's up, Brenda? Hello, Larger Curves. Y'all, please subscribe to Large's channel. She is so intelligent, kind, funny, and her IG stories are a vibe. What's up, Phyllis? Thank you so much for being here. And what's up, somebody's mama? Oh, 1976. I love that. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Now, y'all, if you have not already done so, you probably saw my video about Irish from the R&B group 702. She passed away just yesterday at the age of 43. I am definitely heartbroken. It sounds like she has been sick for at least several months now. I actually found a post from last December where they were saying, we apologize, but Irish has to take a medical leave from 702 performances. And then, of course, I shared her sister Lamisha's post from last night. So definitely pray for Lamisha's family. You know, Irish's twin sister, Orish, has already passed away. She was very sick as well. So it's a huge loss and a shock. I was playing 702 music last night, feeling very sad and nostalgic at the same time. But definitely check out that video. Yes, what's up, Anonymous? Thank you so much for being here. Rest in peace to Irish of 702. Word. Yes, you were shocked last night when you heard too. I was very shocked. I couldn't believe it. All right, y'all. So let's jump right on in. So the episode opens up, with the Crime Stoppers report, and the producers are messy. They messy over at Love and Marriage Huntsville, because why did they pretty much play the report? Why did they play the news report? And we had to learn about the lock, and she almost hit the cars in the parking lot, and they had to show the wide shot. I'm like, oh my gosh. So Tiffany has a hard on for Kiki. Let's just say what it is. I mean, should the past had starred Kiki, Tiffany, and Lewis? Were they like the couple that wanted to do the threesome? I mean, this is getting out of hand. So Melody comes over to see Tiffany. Melody said in her confessional, I want to go check on Tiffany. She just had a baby, and I want to make sure that she's not overwhelmed with the newborn. Sounds normal, right? Well, here comes Tiffany. She answers the door with the dog. The dog is wagging its tail. She got the baby in her arms, but she also got her teeth out feeding the baby. I have a feeling, y'all, every scene that we see Tiffany, she is going to pull out her tatas and she gonna somehow weave it into her storyline. Melody was like, oh, you're feeding? Melody is so calm. I know she'd be thinking, these Negroes is crazy. I got me some crazy coworkers. Cause girl, when she answered the door with the dog and the baby and her tata out, I was just too outdone. When she walked around the corner feeding the baby, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go for the next 2-3 months of breastfeeding, y'all. So y'all just get ready. Let me check on the notes so I do not get behind. Anonymous said, child, that was a mess. Kiki and her mom tried really hard to deflect for real. We're gonna see how that all unfolds. Yes, a 100% mess. I know Nancy Reagan just said, no, I know what you're talking about from the 80s. Yep, okay. So we are on the same page. So I wanted to show Tiffany's confessional just to make the point that wherever you go, Tiffany is talking about Kiki. It's very obvious that she's going to make Kiki her storyline. And I don't think that's fair. Kiki got her own storyline. Tiffany, you need to find yours, and it ain't gonna be breastfeeding. Even if you follow her on Instagram, I check out their stories to see if there's any subliminals over there. And Tiffany's ain't no subliminals because it's just about breastfeeding. And don't get me wrong, I guess there is some sort of crusade or there's to bring awareness about breastfeeding in public, but I thought you could always do that. I didn't know that was a thing. But on Tiffany's IG, she has talked about breastfeeding in the park and stuff, and I have a feeling that that is something that they're going to be discussing all the time. Tiffany's, I know. I'm like, she is going to make this a thing. Word. Okay. So let me make sure that I didn't forget anything. Oh, and Tiffany had the nerve to tell Melody that she even rewind. She rewound the news report. She had to watch it twice. And she just went on and on about Kiki. It's very much giving so that movie The Past with Drew Sidora, the movie that Candy's husband produced. But I really think she should have sought out Tiffany and Lou and then asked Kiki if she wanted to join. That is just my opinion. And Melody said in her confessional, well, if Tiffany feels away, then just don't hang out with Kiki. And I think that that is very fair. It makes a lot of sense. Why are you making it a big deal, Tiffany? It's giving no storyline. And let me make Kiki my storyline. So let's move on. So y'all, we got Courtney and Marceau. MVP. Courtney, you are the MVP, most valuable player of this Love and Marriage Huntsville League, okay? Because you checked Marceau man to man. And that is something that Marceau needs to get more and more because his comfort zone is getting with women. Marceau loves to check Tiffany. He loves to check Tiffany. He did it during the first half of season 6. And for the trailer, we see that he's going to do it again. So Lewis needs to really get his foot in that arse because Marceau is doing way too much. He's way too disrespectful. And now sometimes that's giving Marceau, are you secretly attracted to Tiffany? Because he loves to go in on her. And that's just in my opinion. And let me put my banner up. So, Courtney he actually gives me a character from Power. Or if you read the family business books, or if you read the cartel books like me, Courtney gives one of those characters, okay? And I'm not saying this, Courtney, to like shade you, trying to say you're like a stereotypical like criminal or nothing like that. But it's the hardness and it's the rolling up on somebody in his establishment. Yeah, I like that, Courtney. He actually pointed out that Marceau stays in women's business and he needs to just be in men's business. He told him, you should have had your wife ask my wife for the vendor fee. But we all remember. Now, Courtney, I don't know if you've seen that episode yet from the first half of season 6. Marceau did try to get Tisha to do his dirty work, but she was too shamed. She was too embarrassed to ask for a $100 fee last minute. So that's why he took his BA intel over to your wife. Now, I'm not making excuses. The point that I'm making, Courtney, is really your wife's point, sort of, kind of, that it was ridiculous to ask for a $100 vendor fee on the day of the event. And Marceau had the nerve to try and shade Stormy about how she looked. She was there early morning to set up at the venue. So Marceau is just looking stupid right now. But, Courtney got him together and I loved it. And, you could tell Courtney wasn't there at Black to stay for a long time because he just ordered water and he also wanted to be in his right mind when he checked Marceau, but he still tipped the bartender $100 for some water. And Marceau was very BAM because Courtney wanted to just throw the money off 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And when he got to 60, Marceau was like, that's just 60. Marceau, shut up. You ain't tipping nobody no $60, let alone 100. So it's giving kind of jealous too. And then he said, you're telling me to stay out of women's business, but you are literally selling women's products. Well, let me tell you something, Marceau. The beauty industry is $1 billion industry. So I see why Stormy and Courtney got into it. And also, you opened up a bar in Huntsville, Alabama, where y'all even say there's nothing to do down there. So I would hope that Black is very successful because you don't have much competition. And Canvas Beauty, they sell products in an industry where there are tons of different beauty products that people could choose from. Even me with my dreadlocks, there's quite a few different lines that I could choose from. And I try to support as many Black owned businesses that cater to dreadlocks. So they are making some money in a very competitive industry. So Marcel, just stop hating, bruh, and stop being like a BAN. And then you're expecting his wife to apologize to you. Get out of here. So, I get so triggered by Marceau because, BAN action. What's up, Soul Star Music Lover? Thank you so much for being here. And yes, y'all, please hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already done so. Thank you so much, Soul Star. So, y'all, we get to Kimmy and Tisha. So Kimmy goes over to Tisha's new spot. It is their new rental unit. Apparently, they say that they are living in this unit while their new home is being built. And it sounds like it is a 3-bedroom apartment. So the son gets his own room. The 2 daughters are in a room. And then Marceau and Tisha, they have a bedroom. So they seemed bummed out about it, like they didn't want to move there. I don't know how much a 3-bedroom apartment rents for. I'm guessing at least $900, $1,000 a month. But they have Black, and then of course they have their checks from OWN from being on the show, so they should definitely be able to make it. What's going on at the spot where they're supposed to be building a home? We have no idea. We definitely don't get updates, but like once a year or once a season. So, whatever. But Kimmy and Tisha had the nerve to bring up Kiki. They're going to make Kiki their storyline. Kimmy had the nerve to say that, I don't even know how to help her because Maurice ain't that type of lawyer. Kimmy, Maurice can't help nobody. Kiki don't want Maurice's help. It has nothing to do with her credit report. It has nothing to do with her boosting her credit scores. So that it ain't got nothing to do with that. But also, Kimmy and Tisha were talking about Tiffany and Stormy and their opinions about the Black Expo. And then Tisha tried to say, and I still don't know what Tiffany do for real. Well, we know that she has had a W-2 job. And it also, didn't she would like hire like kids as interns, I guess, to teach them business skills. I'm not sure specifically what she does either. It sounds like it's within academia, within education. But anyway, you're just mad because they kind of gave you some critiques, and your husband did struggle to explain venture capitalism. It is what it is. Tisha can never say when Marceau is wrong. She can never ever say that. And then like that always upholding people when they're wrong. They expect Kimmy to be that way. They have totally turned her, okay, like a alien or something. They done totally snatched her soul, okay? And now she's moving like them, where she just ignores the red flags. But we're going to see her talk to her husband, Maurice, where she kind of sheds a little light on how she truly feels. But, back to Kiki, I just don't understand them trying to make this girl their storyline. One thing that Tisha said in this scene with Kimmy, she said, sometimes drug dealers will make you do things. So Tisha, a drug dealer, made Kiki go to Home Depot and steal a lock. How much are the locks? Are they maybe like $20? And I don't know how much $20, like there's like WEED, but then there's something, I don't know how much a $20 lot could get her. And that just seems so odd to me. Now, that's totally different from what your mama was saying on YouTube that she was doing allegedly. But I just doubted that, a dealer would tell her, you go to Home Depot and you get me a lock. I just don't think that that's how that went down. I read, like I showed y'all the latest cartel book that I'm on. I just don't see them doing that. I never read none of these drug dealers telling people to go to the Home Depot. So that don't really make no sense. But let's move on. So then we see Martell and Chris Fletcher. They decided to film a scene. Yeah. So Chris came over to a house. I'm not sure if it's the current house where Martell lives. The window and the desk, it kind of reminds me. I remember there was a scene with him sitting at that desk with his mom. He was pretending to look like a businessman. So I'm guessing this is the same house. The question is this his mother's house? But let's get into what they talked about, the meat of their conversation. So Mr. Fletcher walked in, and Chris Fletcher let Martell know that he did not appreciate the subpoena in the child custody case because Chris Fletcher said that it looks like we are on one person's side. It made them look slanted. And he said, and you know that we are both friends with you and Melody even after the divorce. Chris Fletcher reiterated this in his confessional. And I am definitely inclined to believe Chris Fletcher that he and Nell are friends to both Melody and Martell even after the divorce. They did not choose sides. So they did not appreciate the subpoena because they did not want Melody feeling away. And that lets me know that they care about Melody's feelings. And that is definitely the sign of a good friend. And I feel like Martell, just to put it plainly and simply, he's just mean to Melody. And he was hoping that he could turn the Fletchers against Melody. And he was trying to use the kids and the child custody to do so. But there's more into this scene. So then Martell has the nerve to bring up to Chris Fletcher that he was displeased with how he was told you have 30 days to vacate a rental property. I mean, that's normal. Martell, like you were renting a home, the owners decided that they wanted to sell it. I mean, why didn't you buy the house? Did you really like that home? Was that your forever home? Or at least could you see yourself staying in the rental property for several years? If so, why didn't you just buy the house? Why didn't you go to like your local bank or credit union? Or you could even call Rocket Mortgage and, do everything over the phone. You could even chat with a loan officer. They pull your credit while you're chatting with them. Never even have to pick up the phone and get pre-approved. Why didn't you just try to buy the house where you were renting? Why are you sweating Chris Fletcher, who is a realtor? He has to be professional. It's his fiduciary obligation to the owner of that property to do what is right and to be ethical. So he cannot give you any special treatment if the shoe was on the other foot and you were a realtor and you were earning 3% on every property that is sold. You would want to do things the right way. Martell, if you were the realtor, you would definitely strong arm the tenant into getting out. In under 30 days, you probably wouldn't even give them that courtesy. So miss me with trying to guilt your friend Chris Fletcher into wanting 90 days to look for a new house and move out. So then Martell tried to make the argument that, how did you think that I could possibly find a house for me and my kids for 30 days? Martell, business is business. And if you couldn't find a house in 30 days, then that's when you would move in with your mom, or you would get an apartment really quick until you find another house that you want to live in. You could have tried to qualify to buy the house. Come on, bruh, you're 40 years old. It's time to grow up. If you were still married to Melody and y'all were in this situation, I know your wife would have found another property for y'all to move in. She would have hired packers and hired movers and it would have been done. So why can't you do it now? Why can't you be a single independent dad? Everything has to be, everybody has to look out for you and do all this stuff for you and bend over backwards for you. Who are you? Chris even said in his confessional, he thinks that I should just give him special treatment because he's Martell. I don't think so. Child, Melody is dealing with an alleged 12 criminal arrest records from Bum on the Couch. Oh my gosh. Whoa, that's a lot of commas, a lot of stuff to read through. Oh, wow. Oh. And this is all alleged, right? Background checks. I know. Exactly. So I feel like Mr. Fletcher, if you were to ever watch this video, I wouldn't do any favors for Martell because he does not appreciate anything. And he would just be taking advantage and it will never be good enough. And you could put yourself in a bind and you only have your name to stand on as a realtor. So I definitely, you should just tell him to reach out to another realtor whenever he needs to look for another house to live in. I wouldn't even fool around with Martell. Absolutely not. So then we see Kimmy and Maurice. They're doing like bike riding on electric bikes. And they talk about Kiki as well. They talk about the Black Expo. They did a recap. I don't like it when the couples on this show just do recaps. Like we're watching the episode, we know what happened. We don't need you to do recaps. Y'all are not the bloggers. Y'all are the on-air talent. Show us reality. Now, Kimmy, you have shown us reality. You know, we saw you talking about everything with your husband, you waiting on the results to find out if you had that disease, and you were crying and you were scared. And we saw you go through the fire. So I thank you, Kimmy, for being so generous with sharing what was happening with your illness. And congratulations to Kimmy. She has finished all of her treatments, and she said now she just has like multiple doctor's visits. But she said that she is happy, and that is most important. So with them recapping the Black Expo, Maurice gave some really bad acting. Maurice pretended like he did not know that Marceau and Tisha, you know, cherry picked whom they wanted to charge the $100 vendor fee to. Maurice, totally bad acting. And he pretended like they paid the $100 fee. And Kimmy says, why would we pay? Now I have a problem with that. When it comes to business, it should not be that just because you're family that you would not have to pay the $100 fee. It's either the vendors are paying the fee or you're not. Marceau should not have been cherry picking which people they wanted to charge. And Kimmy, if there was a $100 fee for vendors to pay, then it makes sense for you and Maurice to pay your fee. Which, what were they selling? What was Kimmy and Maurice selling? Was it his credit score improvement business? And or the title companies when they facilitate loan closings? Like, what is it? Everyone is so vague on this show about what they do, except for Melody. Then I would say in second place comes Stormy and Courtney, only because it's a hair product. We know what they're selling, but like they also don't share, you know, the struggles with that as obviously as we know. But I feel like just because you're a family doesn't mean that you wouldn't pay this inconsistent vendor fee. But now Maurice brought up the point that what he didn't like is I paid the same $100 that Stormy paid, and she had way more space for her showing of her products. What do you all think of that? I feel a couple of ways. If it was an actual business person who would have set out expectations ahead of time, then it would make sense for Maurice to pay a smaller fee because, yeah, Stormy was allowed to use this huge space at the venue. But because it's Marceau, and I can tell obviously that he did not communicate very well all of his expectations, I don't even think his brain was able to configure what he should expect out of the vendors. Stormy didn't know. Stormy didn't know that the amount of space that she took up was too much. I think it sounded like Stormy thought she could just come into the venue and she could just do Canvas Beauty. And so Maurice, I think he was kind of hating at her display, but he did make an interesting point about them both paying that same fee, and he had a much smaller space because I remember Kimmy saying, they got me way in the corner. I remember that from that episode. So then they talked about their sex life again, y'all, and I feel like they should just be friends of the show. I don't feel like Maurice and Kimmy should be main people on this cast just because he's brothers with Marceau. That is nepotism, and I don't agree with that. I feel like I need to get caught up on these comments. I feel like these two should just be friends on the show. They have nothing else to talk about. If it wasn't for Kimmy's health crisis, they would have even less to talk about for like at least a year now. They should just be friends of the show. I'm tired of them. And because all they talk about is their sex life. I want to get caught up on the comments, and then I want to get on this yoni egg. Marcel fumbled big time, and as much as he runs his mouth, he hurried and passed the mic 100%. What's up, Trisha? Thank you so much for being here, beautiful. I always love our correspondence in the comments. What's up, Alf MC? Thank you so much for being here. Yes, we are on one accord at that part. And if I were Kiki, they would not use my likeness / addiction to create storylines and exploit me 100%. And the production played the news report. I ain't never seen that on a reality TV show, not the whole news report. You are talking about the snots. What storyline? That's true. They ain't got no storyline. I wouldn't mind if the Fletchers replaced the Scotts 2.0 on the show. I agree with you, Miss Ann. Yes, that would be genius. That would be the correct thing to do. Because Kimmy and Maurice, they should not be full-time cast. They have absolutely nothing to talk about. Have they not used others? 100%. Maurice should have told Kimmy he paid. No communication. That's a very good point, Soul of the Matter. Thank you so much for being here. And I believe that was not fake, because when he said, I paid, now I do feel like he figured his brother wasn't consistent in collecting the fee from all of the vendors. But when he said, I paid, there was a pause. There was a brief moment of silence, because Kimmy had to process what he just said, and she disagreed, because she said, why would we pay? She even, like, her tone came down. She was annoyed that he dished out that $100 for that event. So yeah, and he did not communicate with her, and I bet it came out of the joint checking account. Oh, girl. Woo. Sometimes I don't even think I could be married. I think I would just it would just be over. I know that's negative, but I could never be married to a guy like Maurice. He's just so disrespectful. It's ridiculous. The Snots have used Melody, Hotel, and others for their storyline since the beginning, 100%. Because season 1, it was Melody who was trying to be peaceful with Tisha and Marcel. Martell didn't even want to F with him. And then he tries to turn them against her. But on the couch said he had a 406 FICO score and failed in every business. Why is still loving Marriage Huntsville? I agree. They should just be friends of the show. Miss Ann said Kimmy and Maurice are lame. Never had a storyline worth sharing. Exactly. I totally agree with that. They had to use Melody's second home to even have a home in the beginning. Why are they on Love and Marriage Huntsville? Please hit the like button, y'all. Please listen to Soul Star Music Lover. Yeah, he did say 406 at that Black Expo. That was embarrassing. What's up, Luminita? Thank you so much for being here. Kimmy said she did not know what Tiffany does as well as Tisha. I don't know what Kimmy and Maurice do at all. I know. We know that Kimmy was a nurse and she's a realtor. But yeah, we never hear Maurice say he has to go to court or he has to meet with clients. Like, nothing. That is what he said on the last show. Yep, about the FICO score. The Scott couples were on the show because they were friends with the Holts and they passed auditions. Ms. Ann is right. At that time, they were couples that appeared to give, like, they had an entrepreneurial spirit and knew what they were doing. So they have been blessed with a huge opportunity to be on this reality TV show. I guess they just thought us viewers would be stupid, idiotic, and not analytical. Now, in this scene, I'm caught up in the comments. Kimmy says to Maurice that she dropped her yoni egg in the toilet. I don't truly believe that. I don't really believe that. I mean, you had to pee. You just wouldn't want to take that out. I mean, what if some sort of way, that just sounded gross to me. Just say that just wasn't a sexy conversation. Usually with yoni eggs, it can be kind of sexy, but that just sounded gross to me. Now, in case y'all didn't know, the yoni eggs, you insert them and they're small so that you work your Kegel muscles, so that around your kitty cat area, you're nice and tight for your partner. And so she was trying to say that she could not hold on to her yoni egg and that it fell in the toilet. That was just so weird. And then that was like the intro to their sex talk. Kimmy and Maurice, we are really over it. Y'all have been talking about this since the beginning of season 5 when Dr. Francis was trying to help y'all on that couples retreat. Y'all were talking about it then. We're talking nearly 2 years of this conversation. Like, just please just stop it. I don't understand. I feel like they're not really good reality TV, and I don't know what to say about them as a couple, if they're really good as a couple, but I'm totally, totally over them. So then we see Stormy and Courtney. They're another recapping couple. It's so annoying. They had to recap Courtney's conversation with Marcel. They had to recap Stormy's lunch with Tisha and Tiffany and Kimmy about the Black Expo. And she wanted us to know that they're caught up on their online orders and she has shrunk the delivery time. And I'm just like, talk about everything concerning your business. It's not that we just automatically or only want to drag or make fun, but that's just reality. And it could be a learning lesson for other entrepreneurs. And, show your confidence and say, yeah, we're struggling with this and we're going to get through it. And I made this mistake, or it was a matter of miscommunication with that marketing company. And, you can't believe everything that you hear. Yes, there's a lane, but we're working on that. Like, say something. So instead, you get very mad at Black Titanic, and it's like this narrative that this blogger is like bothering you, but she's just finding things about the business that's not being shown on TV. Why don't you, get in front of the situation and talk about it in this scene, and then there you go. Then move right along. So I don't understand it, especially when the viewers know what time it is with the business. Just talk about it. Ain't no big thing but a chicken wing on a string. Lots of people have talked about way worse on reality TV. So then we have the last scene of the episode between Melody and Kiki. So you can tell that Kiki, she seemed to be a little disheveled and all over the place. Even the way production showed Melody was just sitting there trying to give a listening ear, and Kiki was just talking about everything. Melody took it like a champ. She was patient. She was not rude or interrupting her or a jerk about it. And it was just giving, it seemed like Kiki almost had some nervous energy in this scene. So I feel like she was trying to cover for the Crime Stopper report. She was trying to shield any hint of embarrassment or worry. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it just came off very nervous to me. And so I do feel bad. And even Stormy showed some compassion in her confessional. She said, the Crime Stopper story just made me want to care for her because it's got to be embarrassing. So I thought that was nice of Stormy to show that empathy towards her. And I think that's why Kiki always speaks positively about Stormy in her interviews, because I think Stormy is trying not to front on her about the Crime Stopper story. Which, I mean, Stormy even told us during the first half of season 6 that she's been arrested and gone to jail and the charges were dropped, and it is what it is. It was that scene with her cousin Junior, his mom and her mom, Betty Steele, and Betty tried to front on the cousin Junior going to jail, and his mom blurted out, but Stormy's been to jail. So, I think that makes Stormy be down to earth and not judgmental towards Kiki. I think that is like the best traits that Stormy and Courtney show on this show, is that they seem very approachable. And I think that is something that Courtney brings out of Stormy as well. So Courtney, yes, if you're ever watching, try to encourage your wife just to be 100% about the business, including the struggles and the legal situations. We know you can't talk about everything that's tied up in legalities, right? But just know that the viewers are aware, and don't look at the bloggers as enemies, but just know that we're doing our job and they're uncovering things. And shout out to Miss Black Titanic. All right. So also Melody was direct. Kiki has also said this in interviews and on Instagram Lives that Melody is definitely direct. And she said that Melody brought up the Crime Stopper story. She said, and Tiffany brought it up, and she's concerned about our brands and how that could be intertwined into this story. And Kiki responded with conviction or accusations. And Melody said accusations. And then the episode went off and they went into the trailer for the second half of the season. So, of course, episode 2 will pick up with this conversation. So we'll have to see what Kiki's response is. Love and Marriage Huntsville did point out that at the end of this episode, at the time this episode aired, no charges were filed against Kiki. So we have to see, what that means. Now, we all know that also earlier this week, Wanda went live. I did a video about it, and she made some explosive allegations, and some were very disturbing. She talked about, allegedly what Kiki has done for, like a dope dealer, something sexual in a vehicle. And that's how there was an injury allegedly. And there were like other things, and Kiki has confirmed that was her calling Wanda over and over and over and over. And it was very wild. It was a very wild live. I did do a video on it if you wanted to check that out. But I want to definitely hear from you all and find out what you all are saying. So let me go back up and get caught up on these comments. What's up, Anthony? Thank you so much for being here. Let me go on up. That is what he said on the last show. Okay. What's up, Val B? Thank you for being here. Val says, Kimmy thought it was okay that Stormy should pay the $100, but when she found out from Maurice that he paid, she was upset because she feels like they shouldn't have paid, but agreed with Tisha. Exactly. She thought that because they were family, they shouldn't have to pay. And that was a sincere reaction because she paused and she lowered her tone. She didn't like it. Maurice appears to be checked out of this marriage. I agree. And I wish that Kiki would I wish Kimmy would check on out. Thank you for the emojis. Good morning, everyone. Yes, please hit that like button. It would help out so much. The Scots 2.0 blended family storylines was authentic the first go round, totally bogus the second go round. Word. Exactly what does Maurice do? You never see him at the office. We don't know, Michelle. We have absolutely no clue. Tiffany founded Acclinate Inc. to achieve diversity in clinical research trials and address the needs of undeserved communities of color. Tiffany is a well-established businesswoman. Thank you for that info. And what's up, Anonymous? I'm going to read through these comments and then let you give your commentary. That's nasty. They're playing us way too much with the SEX storyline. We have heard more than we wanted to. Definitely. What's up, Anthony? Thank you so much for being here. Y'all, please subscribe to Anthony Lofty's channel. I love his interviews. Anthony, I want you to interview Drew Sidora. I have a feeling Carlos King is going to interview her, but you need to interview her as well. In real life, Melody, Tiffany, and Kimmy should plan the next Expo. That would be dope for Melody to plan an Expo, 100%. I agree with the exception of Kimmy. I would include Stormy. I like how y'all are brainstorming. What's funny is Stormy gave Melody the e-commerce game, all right, and she sucks at it. Right. Melody took it and ran with it 100%. And we see Melody working. When she goes live on Instagram, she's packaging. You probably see what you ordered. I feel like Stormy, she makes what's important to her is the store, like the brick and mortar orders. That's what's important to her. The yoni egg is great, but if your man really is pleasing you and giving you the big O, your private will automatically push him out with the, okay, Luminta, I love that education. So the O pushes him out. Interesting. So maybe this is all Maurice's fault. He ain't pleasing her. Kiki's eyes didn't look right and she was running off at the mouth. I felt like it was nervous energy. Oh, wow. And some opinions, they're just opinions allegedly. The ladies I mentioned get along. Stormy has a counterfeit beef with Mel. I do think Stormy wants to get along with Melody from that scene where she was like, I can't control my mama. She don't even like her sister. Everybody can't handle TV. And the fame can sometimes get to people. Remember when what's the comedian Dave Chappelle, when he was offered like over 50 million, his show became super popular really fast and he like fell off. He like went to Africa, he went into hiding. The pressure had gotten to him. Courtney and Stormy have previous records, that is why. And I'm just reading comments here, y'all. Just like the Roe versus Wade comment, that is attention seeking. I personally take everything Wanda says with a massive grain of salt. I know, a massive grain. Okay, it's a lot from that lady. Please hit the like button and please subscribe. Thank you for your patience, Anonymous. Thank you for being here. And please tell me, what is your commentary on this episode?
Well, I think it is a very decent episode to at least you have it kind of moved pretty well. I love the scene with Tiffany and the baby and Melody at the beginning. I just love seeing the child. The child looks healthy, fabulous. Child was looking at Melody going like, you got milk? It was funny. I like, oh. But that was cute. I mean, I at least I love seeing kind of like how if you looked at how Melody was doing it, she was getting information but not passing judgment, while the others were passing judgment without getting all the facts. And I've noticed that a lot of people, this is the difference between you and I, Show Styles. We're critical thinkers. A critical thinker waits to get all the facts, know the truth before rendering, the conclusion, or at least see what's happening, and then give the person an opportunity to state their position. And if you look at this last scene right here, now, if you look at Melody's eyes, she kind of showed something's wrong with Kiki right now because Kiki had the fan going. She was kind of going back and forth. And really, it looked like, I think she, in my opinion, allegedly, she kind of relapsed. But anybody who knows that deals with addiction, this happens. You get what I mean? So she's more understanding, but everybody can't have the public limelight come when you have issues. And that's the part which I think a lot of people need to know. But really, the snots really shouldn't be criticizing anybody because allegedly, from what has been revealed publicly by their reports, they all have had issues with this, including Letitia, including Marceau, as well as Maurice. So, but that shows you basically what people do is a deflection. You've had the same problem, but you look at other people to say they did wrong versus understanding, well, when you did wrong, nobody came out at you like this. You get what I mean? You're just not understanding. And that's what people have to be very careful because when people are going through issues, there is a human side to it. You got to be careful that you can make them go to the edge because she does have children. But that's why I like the fact that she still did a promo for her shirt Push Through to help. But that's what it means. You're trying to help people overcome it because regardless of how I feel about what's been going on in the YouTube streets, I don't want to see people go back to destruction if you really care for people. That's the thing that's scary. And I think this is what's been disheartening this past week with the YouTube streets. It's like everybody wants to one up on everybody. Everybody wants to not have any compassion or empathy. And that's the part that I have a problem with because if you're a believer, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Nobody's perfect, literally. And we make mistakes or we go through things or you might not know what's actually happening. But for you to be so cold and callous and if we look at your background and your report and we see you have the same issue, it's like you have an anger and hate because you want to deflect from what happened in your life. And that's the sad part about what's going on.
Yes, because they're going to make Kiki their storylines, and I have a feeling it's going to be like a joke, and it's going to be judgmental. And Tisha was saying like, I hope she not back on pills, and drug dealers and make you do things. She sounded silly, but I can tell this is going to feel really long and hard for Kiki. But I want her to hang in there, and I
Well,
just hope she's
it's the sad thing is, if you've noticed, this is basically what they do, and they've done this throughout the whole being on Love and Marriage Huntsville. They try to smear other people. They try to look at other people's faults and never look at their own. And see, that's the sad part. I mean, allegedly, from what Letitia had, she had the same issue with Kiki. That's what people don't realize. You're starting to look at all this. I'm like, y'all all got the same issues. So why is it that you're trying to say you're better than your family member when you went through the same thing?
Now, I want to hear your thoughts on Kimmy and Maurice, them constantly talking about their sex life. And then Lamita is giving us lots of interesting information because, Kimmy tried to say, oh, I need to work on my Kegel muscles because my yoni egg fell in the toilet. What were your thoughts on that scene?
Well, this is the sad thing. Okay, bum on couch should be a lawyer, right? He has a law certificate, allegedly. I always said this. I know people think I don't have a legal background, but there is a thing called the right of privacy. Marital sex is considered a private act between a husband and a wife, right? I mean, that's as old as when Adam and Eve came together. You just like, you should know that. I'm just so curious why Kimmy and Maurice always talk about their marital sex on TV. So maybe it's true. He had a 406 credit score in every business he failed. He has nothing to do. There's nothing there. And the sad thing is, Kimmy could probably talk about her nursing, but guess who told her to quit her nursing and be like him, a bum on the couch? So it's like the whole, and this is what's sad, it's spiritual in a sense. An idle mind, what is a haven for a devil's workshop? When you see later on in Houston, what's all Maurice doing? Running from rooms where orgies or the O's are happening allegedly, with his pants down and pulling them up. That's all he got on his mind. He's riding a bull with two women going, I'm looking at you, Kimmy. I'm looking at you, but you look like margarine. I mean, it's not like you're really sexy. You have breasts and hermaphrodite looking body too. So obviously you're not working out, because usually if you have relations, you lose about 30 to you burn calories. You're not burning anything. So this is my big thing. This and I think people are tired of this. They don't have a storyline and they don't have any businesses. Why are they on the show? Why are you on the show? And I don't know why Carlos keeps protecting you to be on the show when you don't have no businesses. But you talk about sex, or excuse me, relations all day. But maybe that's what you do.
Yeah, they talked about Tiffany saying we don't know what she does. We have no clue what Maurice does, if he's bringing any income into that house, or are they just living off of the Love and Marriage Huntsville checks? And
They're
then
living off of, I think, Bone Collector Kimmy's retirement and what she has. But if allegedly it's true, he's a bum on the couch. He's always been a bum on the couch. He hasn't done anything. But that's what he is. I mean, I think when he was with his former Iowa, he was a bum on the couch. That's why she got rid of him. She got tired of it. He's just a bum on the couch. And I think he got his law certificate as a storyline, but he's not doing anything with it. He just wants to have relations at 3:00 in the morning, allegedly, with other people. That's all he's doing.
I just think I'm just sick of these two. They should just be friends of the show, and that's that. It don't
No,
need to
they could
be
just go.
all
In my
together.
opinion. Yeah, just go. Even Marceau, the whole thing, the skit with Courtney, that looks staged. He's smiling and laughing while they up here saying their little thing. If you look at Marceau
Yeah.
about he gonna do something, it just seems like it's staged. It's not authentic. It's not real.
Even
The
with
whole
Courtney and Marcel, you don't think Courtney wanted to check Marcel?
no, I do think he wanted to check him on $100, but think of this: it's $100. They had to give something as a storyline. When I saw Marceau even ask Stormy regarding the $100, I think he needed to get a check to get in the scene to make it look like that episode to get paid. So he had to come up with something. Because remember, they said nobody should get paid, right? You just come and volunteer. So all of a sudden, now we're asking for $100. Really? You
That
thought I'm not
was
a critical
strange.
thinker?
Yeah, and like Kimmy, of course, wouldn't share her true feelings with Tisha. She doesn't do that anymore. But in this scene, she's saying to Maurice, what would change in the expenses that suddenly you have to charge? Like, you know what the venue was charging you. I don't
But
know.
that was production. This was a Love and Marriage Huntsville production set. Nobody paid anything.
Yeah,
What are
own
you
pay.
talking about?
Yeah, so they just pocketed that money. They just made that money.
Correct. Or they needed to pay for this new place that they had to go rent, in my opinion,
Oh,
allegedly.
that's right. They
So
had to pay
yeah,
the movers.
yeah,
That's
the rent party, you name it. But I'm just like, this is why I say this is all smoke and mirrors. It's not authentic. It's just not. It's not. What the scene that you had with Hotel and Fletcher. Why would he even say
yeah.
he need to put some booties in? Do you see the floor? What looks like the floor? This is
You know what, Anonymous, when Martell said you got your booties to put on your feet, I think he was trying to hate on Chris Fletcher because he looks so nice and he was just like in like a sweatshirt. I think he was hating on Chris, trying to say your shoes are dirty, you need to have on booties. I think he was trying to, just try to shade him because he looks so much better than him.
it's true. Now I want you to look at this desk. All right, people, if you want some critical thinking skills, where is the pen, people? Usually, if you're a business person working, do you see any pen, paper, anything written? This is a prop. You see this? All them papers
Yeah, that's
make
that
it look
same.
like he's doing something.
Yeah, because he has sat there before in a scene with his mama, trying to make it
Yes,
like he has got business to take care of.
correct. Prop, you name it. It's all a prop here. And even looking at him, what work are you doing? What are you doing here? Nothing. But what got me was you can tell, and this is the thing that I'll make mention about. This is the difference between the narcissist, or at least the malignant one, right? If you notice with Hotel, his whole point during this episode with Chris is to try to one up him, the booties coming into the house. I need 90 days. You've had 40. You're only supposed to have 30.
Exactly. That's insane. Martell is giving, you would not want to rent to him. He's not going to be professional. He's going to be a ninja about everything. And you might
Correct.
have to call the police. That's what he's giving.
Well, and even look at this way. Remember how he tried to say, you're supposed to pay me for my children. You don't have the kids, Hotel. What are you talking about? Melody got them right now. What?
Exactly. Because he tried to use the kids on Chris when he said, and I asked you to find me a house, and Chris said, well, I didn't have any. He said, well, how did you think I was supposed to find a house for me and my kids in 30 days? Well, your ex-wife got them half the time. That's when you move in with your mama. If you can't find a place to move into in 4 weeks, I think that's ample time. You don't have a job. You don't work 9 to 5 like all of us do. You can look for houses in the day. Hell, you can go online and start looking at them and then narrow it down and go in person. 30 days is plenty of time. Chris could have really checked him about it. And Martell, as far as Chris not having properties, maybe he just didn't have any rentals at that time, or maybe he don't want to do business with you no more. and he just said he didn't have.
Well, this is, and in all fairness, if it's true, allegedly from the MSN article, my dear, he did get arrested allegedly for striking his peasant girlfriend. So, who would want this type of criminal allegedly to be renting in the apartment? So that's why if you think about it, that's why it makes sense he needs a place because
Yeah,
nobody's going to lease to him. He
very
needs
good
to bum
point.
off everybody. So that's why I said now it's starting to make sense. This is all a storyline. I need to have a place to make it look like I'm still on the same level like Melody. Because if you look at the outside of the home, it is a beautiful home, but he was trying to compete with Melody. He's trying to compete to make it look like he's on her level because of the pick mishas and male identified people who watch the show. They want to think that the man, he has money, but he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't spend his money well. He doesn't prepare for things. He's always looking for people to help him because he probably does have a learning disability. So he thinks he can use charm and you name it. But yeah, it's crazy. But another thing I was just going to say is the sad thing is with him, this is why, if you look at it, I know Chris was mad because of the fact that by him not even talking to him and let him know subpoena. I don't know if one of these days they need to play both clips. Remember when Hotel was talking to his mother? He was mad that Chris Fletcher didn't defend on his side. But in this episode, when he sees him, he has to confront him face to face. He's like, I really just wanted you to tell the truth and be fair. Really?
Yeah, I thought that was bull too. Martell, when have you been playing fair? So if you wanted the Fletchers to be on your side, you wanted them to say untruthful things about Melody and go against her. That was what you wanted. Don't front and say you wanted them to be fair. You wouldn't have subpoenaed them if you felt like they were going to do the right thing. He takes the Fletcher's kindness for weakness. And
Well,
he
or what he wants to do is create the chaos because in my opinion, he has the 8 demonic spirits, is that he wants to have Melody think that the Fletchers are on his side. But you notice how Chris, as well as Nell, said, we're friends to both of you. You put us in a very uncompromising position. But that's the part where people need to understand. When you're dealing with people who are malignant narcissists, misogynists, or have the traits of being the sociopathic narcopaths, they have a huge discard pile for a reason. They have, as they say, there's no honor or loyalty amongst thieves. One day they'll be high, the next day they're ready to go this way, and they will think that nothing's up. It like later on, you'll see Hotel think he can manifest having his old 2008 wedding ring with Melody, and she gonna come back. He just thinks I'm God, so I can say whatever you want to say, and you're gonna be on my side. That's what he was trying to do to Chris. He's like, I'm gonna sweet talk you like I'm a Pied Piper or some type of smooth salesman, and because we got these TVs on, you're gonna bow down to what I need because I need this place. But
Yeah.
it's all smoke mirrors. It's all smokes and mirrors. That's it.
I had this thought during the first half of season 6, during the Black Expo episode, when Melody's brother walked up to him at the Black Expo, very mature, very adult. He was trying to have small talk with him. And then, Marcus is like, okay, well, bye. And when he walked away, Martell mumbled something. And in his confessional, he's complaining about him. I was like, he has a problem with men who are strong and working and,
Men and women. It's an ego thing. It's
yeah,
ego. If you
independent.
don't capitulate to them, their ego bruised. That's why they come and try to think you're an enemy. It's
Yeah.
really sad.
It is. And I feel like he's going to start to turn that way on Chris Fletcher because he's a real man and he's
Well,
working.
another thing also, if you look at Hotel, he's unhinged. If I mean literally, he's and this is why we were saying when a person has lost everything, they're the most dangerous. So if they know any of your secrets, they don't care. They'll use it against you. That's why we always say, people always laugh, but I always said the righteous choose friends wisely, while the wicked are always led astray by them. And I always noticed, I wanted to get this to you. This is, if we get deep here. Have you noticed why people who want to do evil always want everybody to be their friend?
Yeah, like a Martell. They want people on their side, and I feel like they want admirers. They want people
Correct.
to admire
They
them.
want their friends, in my opinion, is people who are subjects. They will worship them and bow down to them. Versus if you look at Chris and even Melody to extent, they have their own independence. It's not about friendship, it's about business. I can be friends to you, but that don't mean I have to capitulate to something that's not right. And a person who is a narcopath, they hate when you're objective. They hate when you seek to be truthful. They don't mind lying. Like I remember somebody made a comment saying that they were being managed by somebody, which is not true. But they'll be free to just say it publicly, like it is true, because they want you to believe a lie. Like it is true. It is true. And they want you to just believe what they say versus you verify and like, nah, that's not true. And then they get mad when you show that that's not true.
Yes, I totally agree with you. They want you to always agree with them, just be agreeable, never question, never use your brain cells and analyze anything. Martell reminds me of like some churches, like if you have to get rid of the pastor, like at my church we've had to do that. Like
Yeah.
he was trying to create a cult and he wanted everyone not to think anymore and just go with what he was saying. That's what
Jim
Martell
Jones.
did.
Jim
Yes,
Jones Cole. Yeah,
yes,
that's why
his
we were
energy.
talking about Adolf Hitler. He was like a hotel. You will believe what I say. Why don't you just believe what I say? This is what I'm saying because I'm God. I'm God. No, you're not. You're not. But you get what I mean? They have to, and then usually what happens is they have to have flying monkeys that are just like them to pit. And like they have to have more people to really kind of get what they want. Like if they say something and you challenge them, they usually will find other people that are just like them or will be underneath them to attack and berate you. That's why they say there's a legion of people that come after. And
Go.
it's really sad. If you could tell, the reason why Martell, in my opinion, was getting so frustrated with Chris is Chris was standing on his own ground, but Martell was upset that he couldn't get him to back down. And the same thing happened with Tiffany in Black. Remember how he had to have Marceau with him? Tiffany was like, well, you cheated. She said it to him and he couldn't take it. He couldn't take, that's why he had to get up and run. And it's the same thing
Yes.
with Melody. When she would be like, man, I ain't doing that. He gets upset because it affects their ego, whether it be a man or a woman. If it hurts their ego, they can't be objective enough to say, well, maybe I'm not right on this one. In their mind, they have to always be right, even if it's a lie. You have to capitulate to them. And that's what's sad.
That is. Now, like, what do you think? Because I kind of feel like a couple of ways when it comes to Marceau and Martell, I feel like there are some similarities, but then they kind of move differently. What do you think are some differences between Marceau and Martell?
Marceau has more education. From what I saw on his public background, he does have a bachelor's degree and also a master's. So he does have a degrees. Um, but the thing is, this is the thing where I think they're similar, but then I think they're different. Marceau or legs, hips, and breasts, allegedly. He always does his discretion with at places of employment. And what I mean by this is he doesn't respect the boundaries. Like an employer or employee, there's certain things you're not supposed to do. He always crosses the line. And that allegedly is the reason why he loses employment. Because I believe, and again, it's just my opinion, allegedly, he gets a rush by living dangerously like this. Like it's something, it's an ego stroke. I just think it's an ego stroke. He likes to live on the wild side because I think he wants to be this business person who could do whatever he wants, but he really can't. Because most people in businesses, and if you look, even Chris Fletcher felt the same way regarding why he didn't want to do business with Marcel. He knew that they were scanning and scammers, right? That's allegedly what they think they are, but there was no integrity to it. So if you look at Martell, now, when I'll say this, when Martell had Melody, he always had the leg up because Melody technically would protect him in business. But what's happening right now is because Martell does not have anybody to check him to make sure he's okay, he thinks he's still at the same level, but he's not. So he can be easily manipulated. That whole Madani fight showed it. Like if you remember, he was trying to walk away. Marceau or Maurice said something that snapped him, but I think they wanted to do that to cause a fight. And that's why you went to the other level. But it's kind of weird. I don't know if you remember the cheating where he said, you cheated. But he could do that because he was with Melody. Now when he says whatever. So I just think they're both, they're both kind of, I always thought it was weird why Martell would befriend these two snots. I never understood it. But I think it might be, I've always said this, it might be something where Southern men think that they can belittle or put underneath them Northern men. And they like the chase of that. But see, Hotel doesn't have the mental capacity to know when he's being scammed versus not. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. It's the same thing what happened with Shirley Strawberry with her husband, Ernesto. All she had to do is do a background check to know that she was, it was a scam. But what they do is it's the allure to say, I'm going to have this image of being like the Joneses versus doing my due diligence to go, this person is not a good person to go in. Because if Hotel would have been smart, there's no way in the world I would have befriended Scott 1.0 Marceau. He has the degrees, but why is it he can't have a place to stay for his family and you have to give him a home to be on the show?
Marceau seems like on the job he wouldn't be likable because he's so arrogant. You know what I'm saying? It seems like he would probably turn off the superiors and anybody who could mentor him. He would act like he don't need a mentor, and then
he thinks he's superior. That's why I said they're similar. They have both the same egos that they think they're better. But a lot of that is, I think it's a wound to cover what they really are lacking. Like, I don't know what type of, even though I saw allegedly legs, hips, and breasts has degrees, they might have been like Letitia had, the paper degrees that he did online at home, but he didn't have the practical experience to know what to do. So that's why I say it might look like on paper he can do it, but it's all a front. It's all a ruse. It's all a ruse.
Yeah, Martell looks so silly when he still tries to accuse the men of being cheaters when they are still married and he is now single. Like you look so
Yeah, but he doesn't think he's divorced. That's what I'm saying. He keeps saying I'm only separated. Do you hear what I mean? He's still wearing the ring. So this is why I was telling you he's still mentally in another world, and that's why he's dangerous. That's why he's dangerous. He thinks he is still married to Melody. That's why she has security. That give you a perfect example. The last episode, when Melody did not go up to the stage with him to specifically do that panel discussion for Black Expo. Did you see how he went into a rage?
And he shrunk too when he saw he couldn't ride off of Melody's coattails at the expo because she was sitting in the audience. He was like, she's sitting out there. You could tell because he doesn't have.
Yeah, he thought they were still a couple. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's asking like it's sad though, but people think, oh, he's okay. Oh, he's okay. Look, this is, in my opinion, allegedly mental illness, mental disorder. You've been divorced.
I think it's stalking and harassment.
It is.
Allegedly.
Yeah, he thinks Melody is still his property. And that's why this whole house that he asked Chris to give him, it's an illusion to say I'm on the same level as Melody. No, and I'm not. I'm not.
And did you see the comment earlier where someone said he had the nerve to ask Chris if he could negotiate $100 off the monthly rent because he had to clean the house? Everybody has to clean a house when they move into it. Is he crazy? You should just
need $100 to buy groceries. Was that what he asking for? He wanted $100 just like Marcel. They needed a storyline. Was that what it is?
Girl, he seems like dangerous to do business with. Just my opinion, Martell.
He is. I mean, does this, let's ask everybody in the chat or panel or chat, put a 1, do you think that Hotel looks like he's sane and stable? Put 2 if you think not. Anybody? I mean, maybe y'all don't want to even put anything. But if you think he's acting stable and sane, where you'll do business with him and you can trust him, put a 1. If you don't think so, put 2. Here they come.
Here they come. Yeah.
You know, there's nothing sane about this. So why is Carlos still giving this man a platform when he's acting like this?
I don't know. He loves him. And okay, I'm glad you brought him up. I was waiting for us to finish this talk. I wanted to ask you before I forget, what did you think about him asking Melody to present that Icon Award? Because he didn't have Martell do it. He didn't even have Marceau or Kimmy do it. He had Melody do it.
Let's put this together. When did that MSN article that allegedly people think Anonymous wrote came out?
It came out, it's been a solid week or a week and a half.
Okay. So if you remember at the end of the article, who were they saying was really responsible for having Hotel be removed in the article? You remember?
That would be up to the execs at OWN, right?
Yeah, but who are they specifically saying you need to remove Hotel? Carlos, right? So then I just find it very interesting, especially after the 2 interviews that he had with Nene Leakes and Kenya Moore, who were formerly on Roa Housewives. He didn't have Nene Leakes come and present the award.
That is a very good point.
He didn't have his bestie from Detroit, Michigan, Kenya Moore, present him the award. But who did he have to have present the award for him so he can look like he still is in her corner?
That's a very good point, Anonymous. I didn't think, why didn't he ask Nene to present that Icon Award? Now, Melody is his current star, but yeah, you're looking at his entire resume. And
who was famous? He gave him 1.6 million, right, in views. Nene Leakes. That's more than what we got viewing Love and Marriage Huntsville, allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miss Kenya Moore. He didn't put her. He didn't have Joseline Hernandez present him, allegedly, from Zeus. But all of a sudden, after this beautiful MSN article, I know y'all think Anonymous wrote it, but if I did, I know I spoke it into existence. Came up, especially with the harassment issue. Why is it you see Carlos Queen? You have any of those pictures to show how hugged up he was with Melody? He was so hugged up with her. He was dancing with her on the
Yeah.
stage. He really had to make it look like he and Melody are one.
Yeah, they look like best friends. Because like the clip on Instagram when they're dancing on the stage, like it looked really fun and dope. Like you wouldn't even think that production kind of not kind of production favors Martell and it's always a gang up. You would have never thought that from that Sheen Awards.
I know, but let's put this all together, people. Guys, you're gonna get your critical analysis. So if anybody's listening, get there. Then all of a sudden, this past week, content creators and everybody else getting to talk about Kung Fu Panda's coming out here attacking other people on the show. But we must now, even though I'm the one, Carlos Queen, causing the chaos because I really want Melody off the show, I have to be in allegiance with her now to get an award. People, something's coming big down the pipe. People are going to be removed. And Carlos is trying to make his alliance with the remaining star and continued star of the show, which is Melody Cherie and her mother, Vanessa Rogers Tracy. So, as I say this, don't be fooled by the okie doke. Carlos Queen is an icon, but he is an icon of narcissistic abuse, people. He is an icon of dangerousness on sets of hostile work environments. He's an icon of causing friction and then throwing his hands up like he ain't done nothing, which is behavioral traits of being a narcopath. So again, he wants you to think he really is with Melody and her so-called millimeters. But you and I know we ain't buying the okie doke, Carlos Queen. You a snake.
Anonymous, check out this comment. Holly Rock says that Carlos still has not reviewed the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion because he doesn't want to address the Revenge P. Because you know, Kenya Moore brought up the Revenge P at their reunion.
And
And
think about it.
he's hiding from reviewing those episodes. Good point,
Yeah,
Holly.
yeah, but and let's go to Kenya. That's supposedly his bestie, right? By him doing that interview with her, what happened to her? Allegedly, she's about to lose her peach.
And she obviously thinks for herself, Anonymous, she don't care that Carlos interviewed her and that they're cool. She also don't like what Martell did to Melody. And that's why she brought up the Revenge P. Kudos to her. So Carlos knows he can't control her or woo her to be
Well,
scented.
well, I'll say this, and I've said this, I think, on some others. It's also deep. If you notice, people forget or don't forget, Bravo and NBC Universal is dealing with a suit where they're being alleged, it's a class action suit that they've done Revenge P. I'm in the legal field. Most people would not mention that on TV, even because it would bring attention to them. So I thought it was very odd that Andy and his production team didn't at least bleep it out when she said it. And it looked like everybody on that dang stage, including Andy, knew what Hotel has been doing to his ex-wife. So they know something is coming down the pipe where Carlos is in trouble.
But isn't that amazing though, how like, because it seems like bullies always get ahead, whether it's in corporate America or in relationships, whatever, but then stuff starts to come out. So you bring up an interesting point. Bravo did not bleep it out because they don't want to look anymore like they cover up things like that. So they let Kenya say it because they are getting sued for allowing, revenge P and harassment. That's a very good point, Anonymous.
But I was going to tell you this. When Carlos was with Real Housewives, the franchise, even in New York and others, I'm wondering if he was one that created these type of hostile environments for the revenge P to happen. And that might be one of the reasons why they had him be removed from Bravo. So maybe they knew this suit was coming down the pipe, because I just think it's very odd that Andy would allow that to happen when you have a pending suit happening. I'm just saying, I would never, most people, and people will tell you this, if you have a pending suit, you never want to bring attention because you're trying to just settle it, not have anything happen or sway anybody. But for them to feel so comfortable to say it, they're saying, well, oh, you're looking at our backyard. OWN, Discovery, Warner Brothers, you need to look at your own backyard.
You are right. Like if I was an executive at OWN and I heard about the lawsuit, it's a major suit against Bravo and their subsidiaries, NBC, Universal. I would be like, whoa, 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 we got this Negro on Love and Marriage Huntsville, and allegedly he tried to do revenge P on his wife. We just need to, I would be conservative about it and I would kick the Negro off the show.
Correct.
So,
but that's what I meant, where what he did, think about it, what he did with Nene Leakes and Kenya really must have made a big deal for them, because they didn't present him on that award. He had to go back and hide his tail. Now think about it. Let's really get deep, since everybody's loving this. Remember when Hotel had some trouble? Who paraded Hotel in Atlanta with interviews,
yeah,
secret lover inferences,
yeah.
panel discussions? It was Carlos with Hotel. Remember, I didn't forget that.
Mm-hmm. And
When he was get back, but all of a sudden now you go be with Melody? Come on now.
And I'm glad the producers at Fox 5 Atlanta, Anonymous, they obviously watch the bloggers who cover Love and Marriage Huntsville, because they saw where we were all like, why is Carlos taking Martell doing a press junket when Melody is the star and the fan fave? We all don't F with him because of what he did to her. They obviously heard that, because then they invited Melody to Fox 5 Atlanta so she could do an interview for this second
Bingo.
round.
Something's coming down the pipe, people. But I'll tell you this, and let's get deep here and make it spiritual here. In my opinion, allegedly, Melody, because she was able to overcome by divorcing Hotel and the plot that was against her, is like Job when he had to deal with his wife who asked him to curse God and die. He overcome that. Job in the Bible, God blessed him, or took the root that Satan had over him and blessed him tenfold, right? What people don't realize is Job was a man being blessed by God. What Melody is going to get is she's going to get the blessings of Job, but she has to do it as a woman in a male identified patriarch society. What people don't realize is, I thought it was very interesting when Melody announced that she had become a co-owner with Nubian TV. I was really looking to see how content creators, the public, really would respond to it. Her true supporters knew it was groundbreaking and loved it because it was ownership, you name it. It was showing that she was getting it. But there was a very dark undercurrent happening by some content creators, male identified people, and misogynists, and people who couldn't stand that Melody was being blessed like this. And this is the reason why I believe, and I'll say her name on the chat, the Silver is right. People need to, we need to help Melody and Vanessa as they go through this journey as critical thinkers. Because one thing, by getting YouTube channels or getting content creations to help present a positive message, an analysis of narcissism, analysis of how we can have healthy, constructive relationships. Because I think what people don't understand is we are dealing with spiritual warfare. And let's be honest. As a woman, to break barriers is very difficult. It's not just against men, it's also against women who are male identified as well and have jealousy and envy. And I always ask myself, I said, since I'm anonymous, yes, I have a legal background, but I didn't come on YouTube to be famous. I wanted to use an alias of anonymity specifically because I wanted to get the information that I had experienced personally and studied myself to help my young brothers and sisters of all colors and races learn about narcissism and these 8 demonic spirits of narcissism so that they can learn to get away from toxic people and have healthy, productive relationships. But I knew by giving that information and that truth out, it would cause a division or a rift because you're dealing with people that don't want to know that maybe the person that they're with is dangerous to them and they need to get out. Or people who are kind of like lambs. The people who are wolves want to devour them, so they don't want them to know that they can navigate away from it. But see, I care about people because I am empathic. But people ask, well, why is it a person who experienced narcissistic abuse usually has to become a narcissist to survive? It's because they're dealing with people who constantly want them to experience the evil that they're experiencing in their mind internally. And what's so sad is since and this is just in my opinion, allegedly, since the world wars, as well as the, the Vietnam conflict, we have as a people been dealing with alcohol and drug abuse problems in our families for women and men. And what's so sad is if you look, example right here at a hotel right now, his mother allegedly has a substance abuse problem. And I believe she had it when she had him. Her father, I believe, he was incarcerated allegedly because he said it was of weed, but I think it's something more sinister. I think, in my opinion, I think he was one of the main hustlers or dealers in the society. And I think Hotel was a product of probably his mother being hooked on stuff by her father, and the child came up. In my opinion, if you look at the studies of people who deal with people who possibly have the abuse, they do have a different view of what's right and wrong in society and will do things that are evil and wicked and think that that's okay and everybody should happen. But this is what we're dealing with, people. This is what, as a society, we're trying to learn how to be good to each other, how to do better. But it is hard because you have to deal with what people have had in their life struggles and have caused to kind of hurt them. And in all fairness, I think Carlos Queen has the same issue. That's why he can relate to Hotel. I think Marceau and Maurice have the same issue. I thought it was just very interesting. Maurice would call his son Monster. I never understood why he would degrade him like this. But when you saw that episode of them playing basketball, he was jealous
of his son
having love by his mother.
Yeah.
And was being with this money, was not abandoned by his mother. Because from him, his experience when he was talking, he was abandoned and he wanted everybody to experience the same thing he did.
Yeah.
And that's the part where it's sad. But go ahead.
I want to talk about, there were a couple of comments. This is one of them from Miss Ann. Now, it was also Rochelle. She feels like Carlos and Melody are going to collaborate on Nubian. I hope they don't.
No.
No, I don't want them to. I feel like Melody, she knows production enough at this point to, she can be executive producer of reality TV shows on Nubian. She doesn't need Carlos's help now.
Well, I'll say this. This is what people don't realize. I'll give example. And actually, Nene Leakes, during her interview with Carlos, explained this. She said that when she did Bravo, they only made like 30,000, and they met the owner, CEO. They could go into their office. People don't realize NBC Universal bought Bravo. So the pay that they're getting now is much bigger. Who just bought OWN and Discovery, people?
Yeah. Is it
Warner
like
Brothers.
Brothers?
Warner Brothers. So what's the big game? And I think Carlos knows it, but the difference was he wanted to get Melody out the way so he could have all the reality TV shows to himself. Melody, and that's why I said Anonymous and other content creators, I think you, Show Styles, and you name it, we were trying our hardest to keep Melody to stay on the show. Why? Because the gold mine is if she stays, she would do like Real Housewives of Atlanta did when it was acquired by NBC Universal. The pay would go up. And this is the thing, and I said this, I think, on another live, it was Pretty Brown Eyes 2 days ago, and I think it might be right. That's probably why they wanted to strike the channel and take the video down. Melody Cherie, in my opinion, is doing something that's groundbreaking as it relates to marketing. Very groundbreaking. She doesn't hire a marketing firm at all. She does her marketing by just selling herself. But what she's done with her experience of Love and Marriage Huntsville, I believe, in my opinion, allegedly, is show her authentic self, but have the people who really, I think, the divide and conquer is trying to destroy. It's her consumers, it's us. It's the strong Black woman who has professional degrees, who might not be married, but also has money, is being attacked in not only their home, but also in their work for just being an independent thinker, a critical thinker. It's something about Melody has found something because, and I'll say this as an example, Jay Bolin, she's been with Jay Bolin for quite some time, but they've never sold out until she got on Love and Marriage Huntsville and reached us. Yeah. Everything she has put out with Jay Bolin, and the guy's in the Dallas, Texas. He's a fabulous person for the stars. But when she brings it out, and she has class, it's tasteful, you name it, she's reaching us.
It sells out. Black women
sells out.
Support. She signifies Black people being unified.
Correct. Like, she is the embodiment of the American dream for a Black person, and especially a Black woman. That's the reason why I said when I first went on to Silva's Live, I believe that Melody Cherie is the second coming of Booker T. Washington in Huntsville, Alabama. It's the synergy. She's representing something where you can think outside the box and win. That's one of the reasons why I was so happy she went back and got her real estate license to get it. Because by her having different streams of income, whether it be 7th Avenue, whether it be through her children's line, giving them wealth, whether it be through Jay Bolin, this show, Nubian TV, you name it, she has diversified her business, her singing career. I haven't even got to that. She has diversified her business so that even when this depression that's happening right now, or recession is happening right now, she can still be an employment for people who need work. That's what people don't realize is she has 31 employees that she still had to think of. There's no way in the world she could just leave and move. She had to be pragmatic. So, and then she also had to learn to work with her enemies. She had to learn how to treat
this show, even though they're having a hostile, toxic work environment, like coworkers. You know, she has her security. She showed a picture of her with her security, armed security, just so nobody pulls up and do something to let everybody know, don't come for me. But it's really amazing what she's doing, but it's, you know, it's still going to be a tax. And I think that's the reason why you were asking, and I loved your little live that you did, show Styles of Spirits, where you were concerned about the attacks on free speech, freedom of assembly for content creators and people doing things. That's the part that's sad right now.
Yeah.
People come to this, and you know, I'm a professional. I'll say this: I'm a lawyer and I'm a CPA. I have both of that. But for my work, I come here to YouTube to have an outlet. People
Yeah.
don't know I'm dealing with narcissistic abuse. That's one of the reasons why I'm helping give the information, because I'm helping people as I help myself create the castle to defend against it. And sometimes you can't, when you're dealing with this type of abuse that's happening, you have to have a team of people to show you right and wrong and give you pros and cons versus just one view, to be able to see the big picture of what this is about. Because when you're dealing with people, like, think about it, look at Hotel with this example with Chris Fletcher. He was lying through his whole teeth in that whole segment.
Mm-hmm.
Chris was trying his best to give him, man, that you need to move out. You got to go, you know, but he didn't want to listen. Think about it. If you deal with that every day for 14 years, what you're going to do? You're going to become it.
Yeah. And I feel like what I adore about the panels here on YouTube, Love and Marriage Huntsville, it has literally brought Black women together, and Black women are venting about some of the disrespectful relationships that they have been in. And so with all of the education and discussion around narcissist and manipulation and abuse and controlling behavior, now women can put a name on it. You know, and now we have like a lot more opportunity. We're getting educated. We can work. We can be self-sufficient, just like, you know, Melody is. So we don't have to put up with so much. And I think that that's the beauty of the panels, is
Yes.
that it draws women together. And I feel like that is something that she does as well. And I think
Correct.
that the rest of the cast, they don't get it. They don't get the spark of it all. They think that we just go on the panels and drag them. That's why there's all the venom. Because like when Miss Black Titanic went to the warehouse, Stormy could have handled that totally differently.
Yes, she could have.
The venom is, you think she's just talking about you, but you know, Melody has shared all of those painful times of knowing he's out cheating, and she's in the closet crying, and her little boy comforts her, and she had to dissolve the businesses and rebrand the skincare line and start all over. She uses her personal Instagram. It has become her business Instagram. She
Yes.
has done that from the bottom up, and they don't understand that, the rest of the cast. But I mean, they should probably come on and maybe not curse us out, but talk with us to
Well,
see.
that's what I meant. You're saying it right there, show Styles of Spirit. She's not insulting her consumer base.
Yeah.
She appreciates us. But the difference with her is she, from her mother and other family members, knows how to start a task from start to finish. I've been in business, people don't realize, I've been in business a long time. And I consult people with businesses to show them what you need to do to improve, you name it, to help your bottom line. What Melody has done is, there's a reason why everybody's like, well, why is she still using her home and they just bring the products and do the shipping? It's because it's that personal touch. And what people don't realize is, when you're dealing with this, about to get that Job moment, if you bring too many people into your circle, they might sabotage. She said on one of her lives that some of the packages were not actually being sent, and she had to find out at the post office when she dropped it off. A lot of people don't realize everybody doesn't support Melody. So you have to understand, by her doing it on her own and knowing what has happened, because she probably has a photographic memory just like I do. She can remember what was sent and has kind of the record, because she has that hands-on touch. You can see what's happening. so that if there is a delay, you can quickly assess it. I think she said something about the Spotify. She said some of her supporters and haters were purchasing. She could see it. So that's how she was able to rectify it. And then Simply Beautiful said it's correct. You can get a tax write-off because you're keeping your fixed costs low versus trying to buy another building to try to do all your shipping and having to move and you name it. You can use it for the business. But yeah, there's just so many benefits. But for her, it gives her that personal touch and it's working. She can use her family, her kids to give them a little stipend for them helping with the stuff, for them teaching them work ethic skills. This stuff is invaluable. And today it was kind of, at least last week, it was really sad. I was listening. I had a client, not to reveal anything, but I was trying to give them some consultation to help with their finances, right? And I was very concerned that in high school or even in college, the person didn't even know how to do budgeting, how to do a checkbook, how to make sure you can do a bank reconciliation to know that you shouldn't spend everything so you could see what you have in your account.
Yes, our
When I was
community, a lot of times
yeah,
we have to learn about finances the hard way. You're absolutely right. The
correct.
teaching
And
when it comes to money is
yeah,
limited.
but it's sad though, is now on YouTube, you could just search and then see it, but you have to want to do it. You have to get the Socratic method. But a lot of people say, well, I wasn't taught that. Like, it's kind of amazing that our mothers and fathers or other people in the family didn't sit down and just teach us basic survival skills to be on your own. If you look at Hotel and this example with this place right here, Hotel wants to appear as if he is on the same level as Melody. That's all he wants, is camera. He knows his finances can't afford that. They can't. He could get something, and the same thing is with his friend Destiny. They could get something that's more cost effective, especially in Alabama. It's not that real expensive here versus like if you're in New York or California or other places, and still be able to have a nice place, you name it. But they don't want that. It's the image. It's the I want to be like the Joneses approach, knowing I can't afford it. And if you look at Courtney and Stormy, they're the same way a little bit. There's a couple of things that have been happening with the businesses. It's just like it's kind of a smoke and mirrors. They have too much stuff happening. And that's the concern where why their businesses fail is because they don't take the opportunity to consult with people who are CPAs, lawyers, you name it, get a better strategy of what you need to do. And then it's okay to start small. It really is okay to start small until you have it.
Yes, I think Stormy gives overwhelmed. Ever since the Black Expo episode, when I could sense her anxiety. She was like, "Yeah, I'm here for this expo, but I feel like I should really be at the warehouse. Courtney has to drive the shipment this time, and they have all these orders." And then they let her know that they put wrong labels on a product. That
Yeah,
was wild.
but what I would have done was, and this is what I said, I know she wanted to be there the whole time, but what she all had to do was say, let me just come only for the panel discussion. Let me handle my business and let other people be there to do it. I don't need to be at two places at once because the shipment was important. I needed, as the main boss, to oversee to make sure the labels weren't done wrong. Because mistakes happen. They'll tell you this. We know this. And see, Melody, if you notice when she does her Seventh Avenue labeling, she prints it out with a little printer on her own and then puts it so she can see it, you know? And sometimes you don't need to try to do it all in one day. You have to do it because you only have 24 hours in a day. You get tired. You might make mistakes if you get tired. So you might need to just say, if you can't get it quickly, give them something reasonable to say, this will be done at a certain time frame, but it's going to be timely to you. You know, might not be able to get it out in one day, but I plan ahead to make sure I don't make mistakes. So instead of trying to do a rush all on one day, I should have staggered out, have it done over a 5-day period, so that if I have to ship it to New York that day, it's not all rushed out. That's the difference. Because you can make mistakes. It's just common sense. You can. If you're tired, it just happens.
We have an additional guest to the panel. Rochelle, thank you so much for being here. Yes, I understand you have some thoughts about the episode. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were, I thought it was a very good episode. I really enjoyed it immensely. First of all, hi to everyone in the chat, my chat room family, and to you, Miss Show Styles. Hello to you. This is my first time up. I wanted to say how I really liked the little trickiness that Courtney did with that twist with leaving the tip of that $100. I really love that. And Marcel is just has such a smart mouth. You know, he's sarcastic all the time. And I truly believe Courtney will be the one to deal with him and take him down a notch or two. As far as Melody, I believe that her and CK may be having a little partnership or something going on to do maybe one show or two over at the Nubian Network. It doesn't have to be all the shows on the Nubian Network, but I believe they will collaborate and have something going on with doing the show. I love Melody's business sense and Carlos too. And let's face it, we may not agree with everything that's going on with Love and Marriage Huntsville, but we cannot negate the fact that those two made magic together with Love and Marriage Huntsville. I can see them doing something again like that over at Nubian Network. Somebody in the chat mentioned that when Carlos had Nene on, I could see the wheels rolling, and I believe he asked Nene about something about them would she work with him or something alluded to that fact. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do something over at Nubian and start maybe another show, maybe something concerning past housewives or something like that. They've got good creative energy together. I just wanted to pop in. I've got to go to a church event. I just wanted to raise another subject because we were dwelling on some things. We had got off track a little bit, and I just wanted to put us back on track. That's it. God bless you all. Thank you for giving ear to me today because you didn't have to, and I'll come back at a later time. Thank you, lady.
You're
and
welcome.
Jen.
Good care. Yes, and I just want to point out the thing about Love and Marriage Huntsville, because it is a reality TV show that involves business. It doesn't just talk about romantic relationships or drama. It is supposed to be centered around business. That is how the conversation can widen and expand to us talking about finances and how our community learns about finances and different things. And then also because Carlos King is involved in the production of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and we know his history with the Real Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop, that is how come the conversation will expand. And then because Revenge P is a part of Love and Marriage Huntsville, that is how the conversation expands. And we talk about other things that's happening with Bravo and the lawsuit. So it's not so much that we veer off into left field. It's that Love and Marriage Huntsville, because it represents so many different life scenarios and subjects, and it has so much going on. That is how come our conversation can expand and not just about a single episode. So that is the reason behind that. Now, what I did want to talk about earlier, someone put in the chat that, they think that they were trying to basically hear us with giving like just the business, the first half of season 6, we saw like Stormy's warehouse and the whole scenario of employing family members. We saw Melody and her team talk about her businesses. And now this second half, we see the drama. I feel like Carlos, he tries to give us a little bit of what we asked for. They're definitely listening to us, but then they're also giving us this drama with the second half via Kiki, and it's all, on her. But Rochelle, I thank you for your opinion. I actually don't see Melody and Carlos collaborating on Nubian. I
That
think
part.
I think years ago, she thought like, oh my gosh, that's that guy from the Real Housewives franchises. Let me connect with him to get my vision on TV. But I believe at this point, Melody has the knowledge to produce reality TV shows herself. She even has her own production company, Tilted Crown. But we can agree to disagree. But yeah, those were the things that I wanted to clarify, how it can definitely venture out into different subjects when we discuss the show. But definitely thanks for coming up, and I hope you enjoy your church event, Rochelle. All
That's
right.
true. Well, I wanted to say one thing real quick just to go. Remember how Melody said it best? I can be cordial, but that doesn't mean we're friends or probably will do any other business in the future. When she said never, she meant never. You know, a lot of people, and make this point because I think a lot of people think, well, I think people don't understand the Ecclesiastics 3 standpoint of friendship or even business alliances. Um, when someone shows you that they a snake, even though they might put something around them to make it look like they're not a snake, they're still a snake. Um, when we do businesses, and people don't realize in the business community, you'll work with your friends, you'll also work with your enemies because it depends on what the purpose is. What Melody is showing is that for Love and Marriage Huntsville, she's showing, in my opinion, allegedly, how Carlos can have a non-hostile work environment if he gets back to the root of what Love and Marriage Huntsville should have been. Businesses, families, respect for one another, and not being degrading to each other just because somebody has a different opinion than you. Sometimes you have to teach a person who only wants chaos and love and hip hop type of styles of shows how to do it the right way. Remember, we always said this show, Styles of Spirits. I always thought the highest ratings that Love and Marriage Huntsville had was when they had Dr. Francis there to talk to both people, even though they had different views, to get a reconciliation. They didn't have to agree, but that's what the consumers or people in the world wanted to see. We have fights, we have disputes. That's one of the reasons why people go to courts or mediators, you name it. Because if you have to handle it like in the hood or kind of like hood justice, it could go crazy where people's lives could be taken. That Madani fight went too far. They were resolving it with fisticuffs. Police had to be called. That's too much. That's too much. You have to show people how to have a healthy way to have a disagreement or agree to disagree, where you still can have your dignity, integrity, and character without having to be put down or unalived or told they can't have a business or taken off of content creation or be doxxed or do something like that because you don't agree with my opinion. That is sick. That's not free speech. That's not freedom of assembly. That's not the constitutional protections that people had asked and fought, bled, and died for all of us to have. You are entitled to your opinion, Show Styles. The other panelist that came up is entitled to your opinion, but that doesn't mean you got to fight them because it's different than yours.
Absolutely, absolutely. I disagreed with her about Carlos and Melody collaborating, but we both said our opinions peacefully, and that was that. And I think that that's definitely possible. I'm always like it's kind of a bummer. It kind of sucks when I hear about people getting doxxed or like when there's lots of
Channel struck.
arguments over the show. Like we can have a difference of opinion. And I like
Yes.
it when our conversations expand and evolve. And that's another beauty about Love and Marriage Huntsville. It does make you talk about various things. It won't always just be what happens in the scenes in the episode. My reviews won't always be episodic. They are going to be a conversation that derives from this Love and Marriage Huntsville. So if that thinks to you is going into left field, I don't know what else to tell you. We're conversing about the show as a whole and how it leads us in whatever direction.
Exactly. But that's the beauty of it. But yeah, it's just, I mean, like I said, the show had its little spice to show a little bit more. But it is a microcosm of society, and I think that's one of the reasons why the content creators are there. But I just, I'm always, as I'll say this, I know everybody's thinking, I know every president of the United States allegedly. My favorite president is John Quincy Adams. He's my favorite. And a lot of people, if they don't know, he was a lawyer, one of the founding fathers. He wasn't a slave owner, because a lot of people say they were slave owners. But he would actually take some of the most controversial legal cases of the time to make America be better than what it was compared to what was happening with the French Revolution that was happening at the time. One of his big cases that he did was he represented the Redcoats, the British Army, against an angry mob of American revolutionaries who wanted to unalive them, for the pains and suffering that everything had. And what he was basically defending them was to say, look, we might not agree with them or they might be our enemies, but we can't go to a level where we do mob justice rule based on emotion. We have to look at the facts. We have to look at the law and treat them with dignity, just like we would expect them to treat us with dignity. And I don't know if people remember, he also did the Amistad. Remember the movie Give Us Free? He represented that, and by law freed those Africans who came illegally during a trade that was against the law to help them. So he's done that because they wanted to have the ideal of what America and the Constitution and civil liberties should be. Yeah, people try to figure out how to do Nubian TV to watch it.
Yes. So cause I hear you, ADR, and you have to like play around with it to figure out how to do it. So when I click on, did I go the right way how I found it? And they have these different subjects. Because I remember being able to watch some different stuff. But it'll just play. It's kind of hard to like control it. So here's an ad. I'm gonna mute it. So it's just there's two ads, and then what I found is when I try to watch things on Nubian, I feel like I don't have a lot of control, and it was hard for me to like manipulate and pause it. Can you all see? It doesn't look like it's showing. Oh, it opened up another tab. I'm so sorry. So it opens up another tab after you click on that. So let me go and share this screen. Okay. So I clicked on the watch now. It was down at the bottom. It wasn't at the top. And then it opens up another internet tab. And then I clicked on something called like civil rights interrupted. So I'm waiting on this ad to end. But I kind of felt like I still have to learn and how to navigate around Nubian TV. But this was something that I clicked on. It's just like 22 minutes, but you have to play around with it. But basically, you click on the huge icon. It was kind of like in the lower left corner, watch now, click on that. And then there were different subjects at the top, like civil rights, arts and entertainment, or lifestyles. And then there were shows after that that you could choose from. But it is something that you kind of have to play with. Anonymous, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I know I have to meet a client here at about 2 my time, but I just wanted to let you know it's been a pleasure being with you. Hopefully, the panel and the chat got some little insights regarding what, critical thinking we've done. Like I said, we can agree to disagree. I'm not trying to. I love hearing dissent. I just don't think you need to dox or attack my channel because I'm giving dissent. That's all I care about. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I just want to create content, and I want all of the content creators just to do what they enjoy also.
Well,
So,
I'll tell you this, Show Styles, you actually helped um, me help another person because you used the fair use commentary. I got a chance to look
yes.
at the law and help them figure out because people are striking, not understanding that you can use fair use commentary on copyrighted work. There are exceptions to it. So I was able to at least get that information out to help them get some of their channels back up. Hopefully some others can go. So we're all helping each other. Like I said,
Yeah. Because it does fair use, the argument doesn't always work when like the bigger entity, they're bigger than you, like MTV. When I would try to cover Erica Mena calling Spice a blue monkey, and I
yeah.
would try to play the clips from Instagram, MTV, which is the channel that Love and Hip Hop is on now, they totally took issue with it. So I feel like fair use, it weakens when you're up against like this Goliath, this giant. But it is, I mean, it is in existence. It is a real law, fair use. When you're playing clips and giving commentary on it, that's allowed. But the really big entities like Bravo and MTV, they can totally just,
Well,
have a
they attack because, like I said, they try to have a monopoly. But what you have to do is, if you can, before you do it, if you want to use it, they do have intellectual property attorneys in your area. Ask them what you need to do specifically to overcome the big giants doing it. And usually they might show you how you could do it, or maybe you need to put it in like a members only to see the link or just something like that. But or you can read it or you can do a steal. You get what I mean? So that's why I say a lot of people don't realize if they're attacking you, there are intellectual property attorneys who specialize in the area locally. You can look at a couple of law websites who are lawyers called findlaw.com and lawyers.com just to find an intellectual property attorney and just ask them what is it you need to do. They could give you like a free consultation, but if you needed to hire them to help you defend or even prepare something before you publish, that'll let you know how to protect against YouTube and the others doing it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that so much. I
Yeah, and I'll
appreciate
put
you.
it in the private chat.
Okay.
Yeah, just at least the websites. But yeah, I gave it to some others. But that's what you need to do is just because somebody who's big tries to get you, a lot of this is knowledge is power. And you just look for an intellectual property attorney. And sometimes if you're doing free speech, you can look for a constitutional law attorney who does free speech to make sure you get yourself.
Yes. Okay, that's dope. I appreciate you coming up and talking with me and kicking it with me, Anonymous, and all of you for kicking it with me for the past couple of hours. This was great. And what's also great about Early Lives, if you need to go out and go grocery shopping, or I had literally just worked out, then I came home, I rewatched the episode and took my notes, and then I hit the live button. So now we still got the rest of our day. So I hope you all had a great time. And I am going to message back Anonymous in the private chat really quick. Thank you. Yes, so you all can enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, I'll tell you
Yes.
this too, Show Styles with Spirits. What I appreciate about you is even when the drama was happening, you had integrity and fairness and would be fair and basically stated what you would do with your content. You're not
Yeah.
trying to get in the foolery, but you support people with their free speech, you name it. And people don't realize you don't need to be obscene or derogatory, and that's not protected speech. So that's why I say a lot of people need to probably consult with counsel to make sure they know what they can do, what they can't do. But some of these content creators have been really crazy, doxing people, maybe doing something sinister, and they'll be taken care of in the future, I believe.
Yes, I'm sorry to hear about those things. I wish that they didn't happen. I enjoy so many content creators, including ones that bump heads. So all I can do is hope that they reconcile or just, just don't even mention each other and just continue to create content. So we can all enjoy the show and all of the conversations that it generates. I feel like we are going to see a lot more from this show, from this second half. Is going to bring out a lot of different conversations. And yes, I'm going to continue to play with Nubian. I know that the review hour, and y'all subscribe to the review hour, she mentioned she checks out Nubian on Roku. And I do have a Roku player in the app. So I'm going to try and play with it from there as well, just to become more comfortable with it. But y'all, I hope y'all had a great time, and it's still early to enjoy the rest of the Sunday. And I'm going to talk with y'all soon. Please hit the like button. Thank you to my mods. I appreciate y'all, your positive energy and just being so engaged in the chat. And I hope you all have a great Monday. Don't be anxious about Monday. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. And I will talk with y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.